Mosquito. Hi, everybody. Well, I'm going to make up for the lack of car vlogging the other day. And I have to run an errand or two. So I wanted to let you know that I'd already filmed the main segment of this video. But in hindsight, I needed to add a little more information. So we're going to talk a little bit about negativity and things that we can do to sort of calm those energies. Because let's face it, when you have chronic illness, like whether it's cancer or fibro or whatever, you can become very negative, maybe more so than you ordinarily would be. And so I'm going to start moving the car. Yes, I know, Spooky. My car's name is Spooky, by the way, so Halloween is perfect. My license plate says Spooky. Anyway, I guess I can't ever get away from the woo-woo. So, anyway, the reason I decided to add this segment was because in one of my online support groups, somebody posed the question, who I believe also was diagnosed with terminal cancer. How do you cope with the fear of death, the fear of pending death? And okay, we're all dying, I know that. But when it gets real, it's real. And even those not diagnosed with anything, really, I don't know if there's many of us that aren't afraid of death. I mean, I'm not afraid of the afterlife. I just think it's the act of death and also missing people. So I wanted to just say that the coping skills that we're going to talk about with negativity is also about fear and anxiety. It's just not just being negative, but fear and anxiety can be negative. It's just that I had chose negativity because as of late, I noticed that I might be feeling a little bit more negative, and so I wanted to figure out where that was coming from. And that definitely has been the cancer. I wanted to know, and I know I ask you a lot to comment, but are you afraid of death? Whether you're close to it or not. And how do you deal with that? I guess that's a simple enough question. But I don't know that it's a simple enough answer. I think it really depends on the individual and where we're at in life. I certainly don't feel like I was actively afraid of death, or dying rather, until they said it was real. All right, so anyway, I had to stop for a WaWa Coffee. And what's the deal with everybody wearing their pajamas out? It's Saturday morning. I get it. You don't need to go to school. And some of you might wear pajamas. More power to you. But I just don't get it. Especially when the young people probably should be looking out for a mate or something. I could never, if I was young, I just don't think I would be attracted to someone in pajamas, So, oh well, that's just me. Don't get it. Anyway, so I wanted to also mention that I'm taking a trip this week. I have an appointment with a specialist, a hand specialist, at a hand surgery place in New Jersey to address my Dupuytren's contracture or Dupuytren's disease. I've talked about it before, and if you can see that, there are lumps in my hand. And what it is a disease of the fascia, and underneath the skin, it creates lumps, it hardens up, and it also creates cords. And these cords run, they're like tendons, but they're not. They run maybe through the hand and up to the fingers. And eventually, the reason they call it contracture is because it contracts your hands this way. And a lot of people are crippled to the point where they can't pick something up. They can't write with a pen. They can't put their hands in their pockets. And I may not live long enough to see it be that bad. But the doctors that I've seen here in Lancaster, I got two opinions, and both of them were kind of, yes, you have it. It was diagnosed, but we don't need to do anything with it right now. We wait till it gets really bad, and then we'll have surgery or injections. And I found a place online through Facebook, actually, because I wanted to sort of connect with other people because it's kind of rare. And they all seem to love this place in New Jersey because they're not going to dismiss you. There are options depending on what stage you're at. And I'm at an early enough stage, but it is a little uncomfortable, a little painful. So if there's anything preventative, yeah, I'm all for it. I've heard about magnesium oil and castor oil, rubbing that in to keep it softer. I don't know how they feel about that, or that might be the only answer for the moment, but that's fine. Now, the good news is, well, not just the good news that I found these people, but also it happens to be very close to Asbury Park. So guess what? I'm taking another trip to see Beth, and I'll stay with her for a couple of days. And of course, I'll vlog, and I will not let her dog Delma take my food. I mean, that was just very sad and stupid of me not to realize that she's big enough to reach the table. I'm only used to small dogs. In fact, Iggy is probably Iggy is the largest dog I've ever had. And he's only 20 pounds. So, yeah, there you have it. So I'll let you know. I'll definitely vlog a little bit. Maybe not everywhere we go like I did last time. It was like a week's worth of editing. You know, the talking head type of format is a little bit easier, but I do like to take you along places. All right, so I'm taking the train from Lancaster to Philadelphia, and then Philadelphia to Metro Park, New Jersey, which is not too far from Asbury. And I think that is a great trip. And actually, it's a direct train trip going out, but it's there's a connection coming back. So I'll probably spend a lot of time by myself. Beth still has to work. And then I'm leaving on Wednesday afternoon and coming home on Saturday morning, which is Chris's birthday. But Chris wanted to do something very cool in the gaming world, a little convention with Neon and a friend. And I won't be able to participate anyway, but I probably would be a little bored. So there you have it. That's my up-to-date. And so without further ado, let's go on to my coping mechanisms for fear, anxiety, and negativity. And I'll see you in a bit. Bye. Hi, everybody. I hope you had a great Halloween. That was, as of this filming, was yesterday. And I didn't dress up the way I thought I would. I just wasn't really feeling it. I put some black lipstick on and I painted my nails black. But other than that, I just had a nice little Halloween shirt on and handed out candy. Chris did end up getting a lot of sour stuff that I didn't care for. We didn't have nearly the same amount of kids that we usually get. We've been here 4 years now. I think 4, maybe 3, but I'm not sure. I'd have to think about it. But the first year we got a lot of kids and we started stocking up more candy, and then we didn't get quite as many. So I don't really know what that's about. And honestly, the costumes this year weren't all that spectacular. I mean, they were fine, but there were some kids that just had hoodies on with the, with the face of who they were supposed to be, which I thought was a little odd. But it was a good time, nevertheless. I just felt like I was going to be dressing up for myself, and which is nothing wrong with that, but it just seemed like a lot of work. So sorry, I don't have any pictures for you. And I hope you had a good Halloween. When I used to live among the Amish, 7 years, did not have one kid. So so I enjoyed the celebration. And you would think, as spooky as I am, that Halloween might be my favorite holiday, but it's really not. My favorite is coming up. It's Christmas for sure. So I also forgot to tell you that last week I got another test result back, which was for my A1C, for my diabetes. It did get elevated a little bit, as I mentioned. It went from 6.9 to 7.3. In the grand scheme of things, that's not that much higher. But my doctor, who I've only really seen for the last year, maybe 2 years, he was not happy, and he talked about adding another medication. But I had some family gatherings and I had some things going on, went to Virginia Beach, so I really just wasn't careful. Now there won't be quite as much travel, and I can be more careful, and I should be more mindful, and I've been working on that. So I don't know that I'm going to add another medication, since I seem to be doing okay when I am mindful about what I put in my gullet there. Anyway, also last week, I have some notes. I have like 7 pages. I promise I'm not going to read all that. But I wanted to share what happened in a 48-hour span. Usually when we get stressed, I think that you can just let something roll off your back if an incident happens. We all do that. Nothing is perfect. There's very few perfect days. But a lot of times, a lot of times, okay, this happened or that happened. It's fine. We move on. But when things accumulate, it gets a little hectic. I mean, the way you end up reacting to all of it accumulating can be very negative and stressful. And to give you an example, because I did stress out quite a bit. One morning I woke up to a bunch of emails and messages. Well, I'll just say this. My Facebook account got hacked. It wasn't the first time. Every time I end up changing my email address. This time I went a little step further and changed my, like you can't save the address. But I think what it was is I was logging out every time I left Facebook, and the 1 or 2 times that I forgot to do that seemed to be when the hack happened. Now, another aggravating part of that is when you have to report to people, hey, listen, I got hacked. That's all you have to say. And then you get a whole bunch of comments from AI, not real people at all, saying, hey, I can help with that. Or here, go to this website. I can get your account back. Well, I hadn't lost control of my account at all. And I could probably put a post up there that says, hey, I got hacked. Okay, I'm just kidding. And I'd probably get that. So I had 27 comments from AI that wasn't real people. And that was really disturbing. The problem that I had was when I got hacked, the hacker, or which could have been AI itself, sent a whole bunch of messages to my fans. And mind you, I have about 8,500 followers on Facebook. And they were told that I had a very special message for them and to please send me a picture of their pet or whatever it was right away. And it really was a little disturbing because I had to do a lot of damage control and I was not a happy camper already. And yeah, so that's always fun. The same day, I had an appointment with my family doctor. And every time I go to his office, my blood pressure's high. And it's not high at other doctors. And he looked it up and I have normal blood pressure. So he took it a second time, still high. And I thought about it and I said, you know what it is? It's this kiosk that I have to stand in front of this woman, this receptionist at the desk, and I have to stand next to her and check in with a kiosk instead of just giving her my information. And that kiosk just wants to keep taking my picture, which, I just keep putting my thumb over the lens. Oh my gosh. So that's a little aggravating. Doesn't bother a lot of people, but as you get older, it kind of gets less personal. Kids today, maybe they don't know any different, but when you're used to talking to people and all of a sudden nobody's going to talk to you or they're going to talk at you. So I'm in the waiting room and another woman from around the corner yells my name and says, go to room 16. She couldn't even come to the window. So I have to go in the back and I have to go find room 16 where there is a nurse waiting to take my blood pressure. So yeah, it was a little high. So the doctor actually took notes as I told him when I realized what was really aggravating me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm an old-fashioned girl. I want to interact with people. I said, I don't get any customer service till I get to you, really. And so he wrote this down as if they're going to have a staff meeting. I don't know. Maybe I'm not the only person who's complained about that. But I feel the same way about self-checkout. That's just how I am. I'll use it, but I'm not always happy about it, especially if I have to weigh things or look things up, because I'm not really that savvy. Chris can do it a lot faster than I can. So that's the way I feel. Customer service is no more. And well, it will be no more at some point. And that makes me sad because it takes the personality out of humanity. But then again, some people are just getting so negative and crazy that there's just a lot of hating going on. So the doctor ended up saying, why don't you just take your blood pressure at home later and let me know? It was normal. But I just realized how negative I was being the next day. And I was just kind of grumbling and stuff. And something else happened in the morning. And that's what made me grumble. So I won't go into all that. So I just wanted to cite examples of how we navigate our day based on interactions. I truly believe that negativity, whether it's coming from you or coming from someone else, adds stress. Any stress in your life, whether it's big stress or little stresses that add up, I feel that contributes to cancer. Whether it creates cancer, I do think that it creates space for cancer to grow, whether you have it or not. I kind of believe that we all have cancer cells that are a little dormant, and it just takes a little bit to, set them off, at least in the genetic sense. In the environmental sense, I don't know. And mine is environmental, but I guarantee you, stress has caused my health to decline. And I don't like that. I like being a positive person. But are you always positive? I mean, put your comments below. I'd like to know how you handle stress. I mean, and not really the biggest stresses, because there are times in our life we're taking care of an ill parent or something that, you're just called to duty there. But I'm talking about all the little stresses. Some people just let everything roll off their back, which is, a dream. That's wonderful. I'm a Taurus. I like to organize things. I like things to be in a certain order. And when they're not, I get a little upset. So some things are not quite as important as other things, but I also have this OCD thinking, and it's like an over and over and over again. Stress and anxiety. Anxiety is like one of the biggest stressors there are, and it can definitely affect your life as far as your health, whether it's mental or physical. Anxiety disorders is very hard to deal with and still stay balanced and even. So cancer is definitely, obviously cancer is a concern of mine, but I want to handle it a little better. And that was one of my goals. Besides, we were talking about diet and how bad carbs really affect, your body. And I want to make those changes. But the other change I would like to make is some negativity thinking and overthinking things. So I have some notes, and some of these, believe it or not, I actually have offered to my client as tools. But I looked up some more tools, and I just wanted to share them with you if you are also someone that would like to be more positive in life, especially at the new year when you want to turn over a new leaf. Don't we all? So yesterday I was telling you that I have a few notebooks. One is a journal. I just put thoughts in there. I don't like start it, like Dear Diary. Excuse me. And I just might jot notes down, things I don't want to forget. It's just like kind of my personal notebook. I also have one for prayers. We talked about the prayer list. And again, I invite you to join my prayer list. You can hear more details about that in the previous video, which I'll link up here. So my third notebook is more for negative thoughts. So this is a new thing for me. And I don't think that the thoughts I've written so far are just like ugliness, but just the things that have bothered me, so that I can write it down, tear the page up, toss the page, and just release it. Is it working? Well, I've been feeling pretty good about things lately. Again, I'm getting frustrated like everybody else, but I think it's too soon to say that technique is working or not. I do kind of feel better just getting it down on paper, I suppose. I want to read a couple of things I did find online that I find are kind of important. The first item is very important. You are not your thoughts. Sometimes we have thoughts, we think we're a bad person for thinking those things. You have to separate yourself from the thoughts. It's kind of like, one thing I was told is never say about myself that I'm a diabetic. No, I'm a person with diabetes. Does that make sense? Like, I don't want to identify as a diabetic, but I'm still acknowledging that I have this disease, right? So you're not your thoughts, you're simply holding on to them right now. Yeah, we got to let go of that shit. You're observing them and providing a safe container for them to exist, but they're not a reflection of who you are, nor do you need to take action, at least not yet. Honestly, sometimes you need to stew. I never think of myself as a bad person because I have thoughts. I just know that those thoughts are not good for me and they're not good for the universe. We talked about positivity already and how we put thoughts into the universe. We want to put positive thoughts like prayers and wishing well and being able to say, perhaps even to ourselves about someone that is, has said something to hurt your feelings, to understand where that came from. You don't want to really put your feet in their shoes, but you do need to change your perspective a little bit sometimes. I'm not saying that there aren't people that are just pure evil and there's no excuse for them. But for the most part, most people don't, they're not being evil. They just have a problem. So I give you an example. I was telling my husband the other day I went to Walmart and it wasn't very crowded and there were 2 checkers available, 2 cashiers. And I went to the one on the right, this woman. I probably went to the wrong one, or maybe she was pissed that I didn't go to the other one. I had 1 item, by the way. I didn't have like a cart full of stuff. 1 item. It was just my makeup remover. So I go up as I usually do and say hi, and nothing. I got nothing. How are you today? Nothing. Now I feel like it's a challenge, So when she checked me out and gave me change, I said, thank you. Nothing. So I stepped away and then I turned around and I said, I hope you have a great day. Nothing. I mean, one of a number of things could have happened to her that day. I don't know what could be so negative that you don't acknowledge a customer, especially one that's going out of their way to be friendly to you. But something obviously was wrong. It certainly wasn't about me. So you can't walk away and allow that to stick with you. The thoughts you have, I think you do have some control over. The thoughts you have are just organic thoughts. But when I say control over, it's like this says, you need, like it says here, you don't have to take action, at least not yet. Sometimes you need to process things. Understandable. And it says, by putting a subtle separation between you and your negative thoughts, you can gain perspective about the role they play in your life. Your thoughts are merely the passenger, not the driver. Also, no matter how difficult they feel, they're temporary. All right. I think that one was a very important point. A tool. I mean, that's a tool to acknowledge, but another tool is acknowledging them, thanking them, and making new room. And it says, in truth, negative thoughts are there to protect us. They alert us when something isn't quite right about our circumstances. If they weren't there, we wouldn't know when something was off. It's kind of like pain. Pain is there to tell you there's something wrong in your body. And when we acknowledge these things and we understand them better, it's empowering. Even if you have an anxiety disorder, just go ahead and find out more about it. It's very empowering to say, I have this, but it doesn't have me. Sometimes it might have you, but it really does help. I see a pussycat. But it really does help you in your daily life to just acknowledge it, but realize it's not who your soul is. Okay, I'm babbling. Okay, so in a weird way, negative thoughts are actually a blessing. Rather than try to push away the negative thoughts, we must accept that they're an annoying yet integral part of being human. They are more than welcome to share mental space as long as they don't try to run the show. That's our job. Okay, so like I said, this is a very empowering thing. Then it says, how can I put these steps into action? Well, you can write a letter, which is getting all your thoughts out of your system by putting it on paper, which is what I'm doing with this little book. So I chose a spiral notebook so that I didn't have to give the whole notebook that tremendous energy that a lot of negative thoughts together in the same place would give. In fact, I keep my journal and my prayer list separate from, I try to keep all three of them separate because they all have their own energy. But they're saying, like writing a letter, if your negative thoughts are about a relationship, write out a letter to that person. Don't hold back and make sure you say everything you need to, knowing that you're not going to mail it, most likely. It gives you that freedom to not be so picky and careful about your words or misspellings, and just let it all out, And once the letter feels complete, take a quiet moment to sit with it. If it's a letter to someone else, now imagine that person is sitting in front of you. Read the letter out loud with all of your emotion. When you're finished, put it away, burn it safely, of course, or delete it. You're not going to send this letter to anyone. This is for you and your thought processes. Talk to someone about it. Well, either you have a friend you can truly confide in, or you have a therapist. But talk therapy in any way that you can do it is, can be very healthy, for you to let things go. Maybe you have someone that can put certain things into perspective for you. So, creating a worry box. Now, I have had a lot of clients with OCD thinking, constant worrying, overthinking everything. And I'll read what they say and I'll see if it differs at all. This is a place to physically store your negative thoughts. Pick up a small wooden box at an arts and crafts store or prepare a spare box around your home. I often recommend a shoebox, and decorate, paint, glue magazine art onto it, cut a hole in the top, like a ballot box. I have done this with people that bring all their crap home from work. They have very stressful jobs, and it overflows on their family when they get home. And that's, we don't want to do that to our family. So I always say, put your troubles in the box, whether it's at the office or at your doorstep. I recommend the office just because it doesn't go in the car with you or whatever. Just do it as soon as the day ends. And let's see, what else does it say? I'm sure it's very much the way I would recommend it. Whenever you have negative thoughts, write them down and place them in the worry box. It's going to be there the next day at work, right? Or maybe it's not about work at all, and you can keep it in your home, but I like to keep it like in the garage or somewhere. Again, I really feel strongly about words affecting the space that they're even spoken or written. So I like to destroy things, and it's also about destroying the evidence. But if it feels good, imagine that you're turning over your negative thoughts to something bigger than you, like a higher power. And that is another truth. Your ancestors or the universe in general. Once the negative thoughts are in that box, they're no longer yours. Oh, I like that. Yeah. That's another reason I chose a book that I can tear pages out of, because they're not yours to keep. So I feel like I'm throwing my troubles away. I'm not offering my troubles to the universe as far as complaining, putting negative thoughts out there in the universe. I do it with the intention that the universe will take care of it. and I will have a better perspective the next day. Things have gotten a lot more stressful since the cancer diagnosis for obvious reasons. And I feel the better I have a handle on that, the better my health, and maybe I can prolong what's coming down the road. Maybe I can't, but at the same time, it helps my spiritual growth no matter what. And I think it helps my physical health. I may not be able to stop the cancer, but what if I slowed down the diabetes, because stress, as I mentioned about in the doctor's office, stress spikes things, spikes your blood pressure. Stress also spikes your diabetes. And I would never want to have to be on blood pressure medication. How many times do I visit that doctor before, he says, well, now you have it like 24/7, I don't want that. Who wants that? And I'd love to hear your comments, not just on how you handle stress, but also, do you feel that it's something you could work on? Do you believe it could help your health? You could do it with me. That would be great. But I'm not going to read that notebook. I keep looking because it's right here. It's over here. I'm not going to read it. So, yeah, only the universe gets to see that. And the then what exercise. Well, here's the worst case. What's the worst case could happen when you're overthinking something? So write down a negative thought you're having. For example, my spouse can't find another job. Ask yourself, then what? Well, then we can't pay the rent. Then what? Well, we'll have to take out a loan. And then what? They could say no. Then what? We'll have to borrow from family. Then what? It could strain our relationship. Then what? We'll have to have a tough conversation. Then what? I really feel embarrassed and stressed. And that's probably where it is, right there, because you were able to say you would be embarrassed and stressed. Continue until you can see the difference between what's in your control and what's not in your control. And then finally, replacing negative thoughts. Now that you've learned how to process negative thoughts, you can also replace them. Even if you have another book, like every time you write down a negative comment, you need to also write down something positive. We all have our own little things and our own little ways, and maybe my tools are not going to be your tools. But I want you to all be very healthy and happy. And I don't want to, I know that a lot of you have chronic illnesses and a lot of you watching have cancer. And I really do want the best for you. So if anything that I'm sharing with you online helps, then I'm happy to do that. I'm still coming from a place of someone with terminal cancer, but could we make it a little better? Could I buy some more time? Could you buy more time? Could you make things a little less painful for yourself? I don't want you to suffer. So with that, I'm going to get going. I got to go to the office and, I'll be back. I want you to have a great day. Just be blessed. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.